Hello, what's going on guys? So today we're bringing you another episode of the big Minecraft build. This episode I thought it was kind of relevant from last episode to do kind of another Scully one. This episode, so we're doing like a skull with like a skull candle. It'll be a skull candle Pixleart is probably what I'll name it. But yeah, I saw this, thought it was awesome. I want to play around with the colours a little bit. This is what I've gone for at the moment. But yeah, let's get straight into things. Okay, so for this build, there we go. So for this build, we are going to need quite a lot of materials. The first one isn't actually going to be a wall; it's smooth sandstone, and the rest is just black, white, pink, magenta, yellow, orange, and red wool. So you want to start things off where I am and placing this one block here. Well, place it wherever you want. I'm just going to place mine here, and from this block, you want to do a top right diagonal. Then you want to go up from this block by 2, go right of it by 2, then we can start and do the diagonal. So you want to do a top right diagonal now, and we want to go across to the right by 2. We want to do that again, but only go across by 1 more. Then we want to do 3 top right diagonals, so 1, 2, and finally 3. Now on the top of this block, we want to place 1 block, and then we want to do a top right diagonal followed by 4 blocks going on top of this one. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. We then want to do a top left diagonal followed by 1 coming on top, 2 top left diagonals, 1 and 2. Now on top of this block, we want to do 1 block. We want to do a top left diagonal followed by a top left diagonal with 1 on top. Then we want to do a top left diagonal with 2 coming on top like so. A top right diagonal followed onto this with 1 on top. A top left diagonal kind of by 1 on the left. A bottom left diagonal with 3 on the left. So 1, 2, and 3. Now quickly, I'm just going to add something. If I'm going too fast quickly, by the way, leave me a note in the comments below and I'll go a bit slower. These block of 4 here, we want to go 3 from the left, so this block here, and we just want to quickly drag that up by 3 black wool, so 1, 2, and 3. Now, there we have got this 4 black here, where we're just like going to continue from where we left off. So on the end of this 4 block, we want to do a top left diagonal, followed by 2 coming onto the left, a bottom left diagonal, by 1 coming down below, a bottom right diagonal, going with 2 down below, like so, a bottom left diagonal, with 1 going down below. Then we want to do 2 bottom left diagonals, like so. Now on the left of this bottom left diagonal, we want to go left by 1, do a bottom left diagonal, and go down by 2, 1, 2. So we have this shape that should look like this. And then we want to do a bottom left diagonal again and again, go down by 2, so 1, 2. Now on the end of this block here, we want to do a bottom left diagonal, and this time we want to go down by 4, so 1, we didn't do the bottom left diagonal, did we? Hold on, let me count again. So this should be 3 long, there we go, so bottom left diagonal, and this block here should go down by 4, so 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then we want to go right by 1, down by 2, do a bottom right diagonal, and the bottom of this block we want to go down by 3, so 1, 2, and 3. Then we want to do 2 bottom right diagonals, so that should put us down onto the floor, and then we just want to drag these across like so. So this should give you the whole outline first. As you can kind of see, we still got 2 eyes to add. We actually got the outline of the wax to do his nose and his mouth. So we'll do the mouth as it's at the bottom first. So go to the bottom left diagonal, and what we want to do is we just want to drag this up by 3 blocks. So 1, 2, 3. We want to leave 1 gap for sandstone, and then 1 gap here, and we just want to drag that up by 3 as well. So 1, 2, and 3. Then we want to do the exact same thing again. So we want to go 2 blocks to the right, and then we want to drag it up by 3 again. So this is what the mouth should look like if we zoom out a bit. So this is what the mouth looks like. And then we got the nose to go, but we'll do that in a bit. We'll do the line that kind of separates the wax to the head now. So if you go to the right hand side where we have this long big row of 5 that we did earlier, we want to go to the middle block and we want to drag that left by 3. So 1, 2 and 3. We then want to do a top left diagonal, drag, I'm so bad at this, top right left diagonal, sorry, drag that up by 3, 1, 2, 3. And then we want to do a top left diagonal, we want to drag that up by 1, and then do 2 top left diagonals, 1 and 2, and on this final block we want to add that up by 1, and then we want to leave it like that and go down to where this 2 is. So this 2 here, we want to do a bottom left diagonal on the bottom of that. We want to go left by 1, do a top left diagonal. We want to go up by 1, do a top left diagonal. We want to go down and do a bottom left diagonal, like so. We want to go down by 1. We want to do a bottom left diagonal. And we want to go down by 2. 1, 2. We want to do bottom left diagonal. Go left by 1. Do a top left diagonal, go up by 1, do a top right diagonal. It's going to get very repetitive, just bear with me. Top right diagonal, drag that up by 2, then we want to do a top right diagonal, drag that up by 1. We want to leave this pattern here and go back down to the 3 that we did here. We want to do a top left diagonal, drag it across by 1, do a bottom left diagonal, like so. Drag that down by 1, do a bottom left diagonal, and drag that back to the wall there by 1 block and connect it all up together. So if we zoom out, we can see kind of roughly where we're going to be with it. So that's the skull, that's the wax. We'll add the detail to the skull first. So we're going to pull out the sandstone. We want to add 1 block onto the top of this first block here of sandstone. We want to pull out the black, do 2 going up from the sandstone with black. Now at the top of this black here, on the bottom one, sorry, we want to go right by 1, and we want to drag that up as well, so it gives you this kind of cube shape. We'll do it like this. So we'll have these 2 at the bottom. We want to go right of it by 1 sandstone, right of it by 2 black wool, and then we want to go up on top of each and just connect it to the bottom, so they have 1 whole row of black. Then we want to cut off the ends and do 3 on top like that. Then we want to cut off the ends again and do 1 on top. And that will give you the nose. If you zoom out, you can kind of get a picture of the nose there. It doesn't really look like much at the moment, but that's what it's going to look like. I think that's right. And then we want to do the eyes. So if we come to the first eye, this is actually against this wall here. So where this block is, that is actually part of the eye. That isn't actually part of the outline. So what we do on top of this block here is we drag that up by 3, so 1, 2 and 3, and then we do the exact same pattern twice more on the right. So if we come to this pattern here, we want to drag that up once and then drag it back down twice, so it should give you a kind of cube shape that look like that. Then what we want to do is again cut off the ends and do the 2 blocks in the middle like that. If we zoom out, I can give you a kind of rough idea of what that eye is going to look like. Now the next eye, if we go to one of these 2 here, or go to the top one for the sake of the video, we just want to drag that right by 4 of these sandstone, 3, 4. We want to pull out the black wool. We want to do 2 coming down. Wait, did I do it from the top? Yeah, so do it from the top. We want to drag it down by 2. We want to come right of that, and we want to do a row of 4 going to the right by, like these 2 be in the middle. So we want to do 2 the same, and then put 1 on the top, 1 on the bottom like so. We want to repeat that 1 more time on the right. Then we want to repeat it 3 times more, but instead of it being 1 at the bottom, we want to add another row at the bottom. So for 3 more times, it's 1 with 1 on the bottom. So 1, 2, and finally 3. Now for the final row, we want to again cut off the ends and just do a row of 3 coming to the right. And that is the second eye 100% completed. So if you zoom out, that is going to be the face of him there. So now it is time to fill in, because this one's going to be, the wax is a bit more tricky. We'll do the flame first. So if we go to the right at the top, on top of the black, we want to add 1 yellow wool. We want to come right of it by one red wall, up by one red wall, left by one red wall. Now these two here, it goes up by one more red, and then these two with two on the right. It's harder for me to explain, it's easier for you to just kind of look, but it gives you this pattern here. If I like highlight the middle block, you can kind of get a rough idea of what it looks like. Now if we come with the orange wall, from this left block of the yellow, we want to go up by 3 orange, fill in this gap here with 1 orange, up by 1, right by 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, so it kind of drags over a bit. And these two that are overhanging, we want to go up by 2 of the orange block here. Now on the end block, we want to drag that up by 2, so 1 and 2. Now obviously we've got this little bit here to do, so there's gap in here, we want to add one orange there, and to cover these two sides we want to add 2 orange there, not the one in the corner. So if you zoom out, I'll show you the flames. That's what the flame will look like. And now to fill in kind of the wax on his wax on the top of the skull. So we're going to pull out the magenta wall. We'll do the magenta first. If we come down to this kind of one of the like the middle low-end hanger one, we want to do a kind of this shape here. So we want to come down here and leave this gap for a white wall. So we'll just do this. It's probably easier. So if we get the magenta out, do 1 block here in this corner, and then do 2 on top of each other, stacking in this corner. And then in this corner here, where this line goes up and connects with these two, we want to add 1 magenta there, and we want to leave it like that. If we come into this cube here, the pattern for this cube is 2 magenta on the bottom, a white in the top left, and a pink in the top right. We can add a pink in that one as well, just for, I don't know, speeding things up or something. Then we want to pull out the magenta, and where this line comes up kind of on its own that we left earlier, we want to do like in line with that on the left of it, 2 magenta, and then 1 coming to the left of magenta. Oh, it's hard to explain. So then we want to come to the far bottom right, this row here. All across this bottom line, we want to add magenta like so. And then we want to come up on the left of that line by 2 magenta. And right in the corner, we want to add 1 white. Then in this block of 4 again, we want to kind of do the same as that block of 4, just the other way around. So the bottom 2 is magenta, top left is magenta this time, and then the top right is white instead. And then this, from this top left magenta, we want to do a top left diagonal and just put a magenta there. Now that's basically it for the magenta. We just need to do a little bit onto this side, and then there's a few more details at the top that we'll fill in. So we pull out the magenta. Now onto these corners, so this corner here connecting these two, and then these 2 left corners here. So it's basically all the left corners. We just want to fill that in with magenta, and then there is just the white to go. So if we pull out the pink wall, it's probably easier. So in this corner here, it's 2 pink wall at the top, pink wall in the like the right corner, and then 1 left with the pink, and basically exactly the same, just mirrored at the top here. So we want to add 3 pink wall at the top, 1 pink wall at the bottom left, and then a white wall in the middle. So if you zoom out, this is what it looks like so far. So it looks pretty mismatched at the moment, but we need to add a little bit more detail at the top. So if we come to where these 3 lines are here on the left and the right, whichever way you want to go, I'm going to go from the left. We want to add 1 pink wall to the middle of this block here, and we want to add 1 right to the right of that. Then we want to do a top right diagonal, and we want to go right of it by 2, and then do a bottom right diagonal, and that's like the only detail there is at the top. Apart from there needs to be magenta covering all of the bottom of the black wall, so it covers the bottom and also this gap here for some reason. So this gap here, if you just come to where that gap is in the build. So if we zoom out, that's all of the detail completed. All we need to do now is fill in this big section of his skull with smooth sandstone, and this top of the wax with pink wool. So I'm going to fast forward the video while I do so. Okay, so that's it, 100% completed it. I'm not gonna lie, it didn't really come out how I really wanted it to. It doesn't look as good as I kind of imagined it would. If you want to play around with the colours, feel free to. Maybe it would look a bit better with like some, maybe like magenta hardened clay. It might look a bit better. Let me just kind of play around a little bit here quickly. Oh yeah, that looks actually pretty good. Okay, so maybe it would look better with some hardened clay in there instead of maybe like hardened. Oh, there's no like pink though. Maybe that would look better for the skull as well. I should have thought about this beforehand. Bollocks. Oh no, I think it looks alright. I'm gonna carry on just being with the magenta like so, as we have done that now. If you want to play around the colours, feel free to. I think it looks alright. The skull, maybe it was the closest thing I could find to like an actual skull colour without just doing it white. I don't really like the lines on it, and maybe you could add some different colours instead of the pink and the magenta wool. But that's going to round things up for this episode. Hopefully you all enjoyed. It does look quite cool. Not as cool as I kind of wanted it to. But that's going to round things up for this episode. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any comments, leave them down in the comments below. If what you want me to build next, thank you much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and see you next episode.